And we're back. So apparently we have not been on GPVWC. So if anybody is joining us now on the YouTube channel of GPVWC, hello and welcome. And just before, just to let everybody know, we are live on YouTube accounts of both GPVWC and simnews.tv. And also, I think for the first time, we are also on the Twitch channel of simnews.tv. So you have even more ways of watching our show. And hopefully you're going to be enjoying our coverage for the entirety of this double round. As we go onto the gridding. So it could be a very, again, fascinating race with with these cars being quite high downforce. I'm just hoping that drivers will be able to follow through the S's. That's something that's quite difficult to do in open wheel cars. And as far as I know, the drafting in this the slipstream is actually not too bad for the corners. So hopefully we're going to see some good battles, and usually being able to follow closely through the S's kind of can bode quite well. So few drivers are setting up on the grid slots, and as far as I can see, I don't think we're going to have too many drivers starting on the harder compound. Although, unless that is a glitch, I think Mena Klunt is at least one of the drivers who is going to be starting, and so is Jared Batalla, as well as Sandeep Choda. Or it could be a glitch, considering the front runners at the moment are also apparently on the harder compound. Anyway, we are off on the formation app, and from pole position, Dennis Jordan, who is only 9,000ths of a second in front of Alex Siebel, our championship leader. Behind is Dino Paolini, who is the first of the second contender for our championship, who is quite far behind at this point, but he is there in the fight. Stefan Rolt in 4th place, with 5th for Borja Milan. Antonio Hrajnovic in 6th place, with Dowie Tapper in 7th place. Very good from Tapper, and he'll definitely be trying to make the best of it. Roy Stroten is in 8th place, with 9th for Rob Mason, 10th for Terence Gretsch, and 11th for Sandeep Choda. Jared Batalla in 12th, with Matt Strand in 13th. 14th for Morten Wernersen, with 15th for Mena Klunt. Jason Muscat down in 16th. He is, as far as I know, the first of the back of the grid penalty starters, with Tom van der Voort following. Erhan Jajowski as well, in the 18th place. Jeffrey Fournier as well. His bad luck continues this season, and he is going to be starting from the back of the grid penalty after his demotion from qualifying back of the grid penalty from Singapore. And finally, at the very back, Mark Fuller, also with a back of the grid. And that will be our 20 drivers taking you through this race. And hopefully, we're going to see quite an interesting one. I'd say we're going to have to really watch Jajowski and Fournier and Muscat, to be honest, and see how well they can get up and possibly into that top 10, which is the possibly inverted, of course, with the top 6 to 10 drivers. And at this point, we're nearing the grid slots, and finally we should be getting underway soon enough with very long run up to the first corner, which at Suzuka is a very fast double right-hander. And of course, it's a very famous corner, and it's very difficult to overtake into, and there is a lot of place for an error. And if you do make an error, it could really cause a chain effect, since it is such a fast corner. And as we have our final driver setting up on the grid slots, we should be getting our lights soon enough. As we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here we go. Finally, red lights are out, and Alex Siebel with a fantastic start, attacking on Dennis Jordan. Already on the grass, pushed away from by Jordan, decides it's better to just keep it safe and not plow in. since it's very difficult to break on the grass. But behind, we have a bit of a battle with Frelinovic and Borja Milan through the S's. And they're going quite a bit of side by side all along. But now they've actually all slotted into the slots, into their positions, since the S's are just basically a single line race. So quite a clean start, to be honest, which is very good to see. And I guess it is one of those tracks where you just have to be safe. Otherwise, it is going to end badly for all of you. And at the moment, it seems like we have Dennis Jordan, who is trying to run away, although Alex Siebel is keeping behind. But behind all that, from what I'm seeing, a little bit of a touch between Wernerson, which is back in 17th place right now. However, I think the closest what we have to a battle right now is Terence Gretsch down in 10th place with Sandeep Choda. And to be honest, right in front of him, we also have another driver now, Rob Mason. So a battle for 8th place, possibly a bit of drafting. Rouge Roten going to the outside of our 130R. This could be very dangerous. And I'm seeing in front there is also a battle in the exact same area. So Mason barely makes it as Terence Gretsch has to go into the grass. And actually makes it on the outside into the chicane. There's nearly contact, and Gretsch actually makes it on the outside of a chicane and makes it for Mason, who is now back down. But now, looking a bit more forward, there's Borja Milan in 4th place, fighting with Stefan Ruold coming into the first corner, and behind him there's another battle. It's battles all over the place. As Jared Batalla is into the pits. Not sure if... I think he just went in for a change of tires, a planned pit stop going off the soft. However, Tom van der Voort is in the pits without either wing, and Jeffrey Fournier is in with pits for a set of new tires, possibly as well going off of the medium tires onto a set of soft tires, getting that harder compound out of the way first so he can be quite quick at the end of the race. And we have seen that work in Singapore, and I wouldn't be surprised seeing it here with such a heavy track on the tires with so many fast corners. And we have a bit of a battle again, continuing with Rob Mason and Sandeep Choda, very close to coming into the hairpin. With Choda just barely missing the back end of Rob Mason. Thankfully, he thinks better of it and goes to the outside. However, now it seems like drafting is very strong in this race, and Choda goes on the outside of Spoon. I don't think that's going to work, and there's a bit of contact, and Mason goes around, only losing 3 spots, which is very impressive recovery. It basically went 90 degrees sideways, but now is under attack by Menno Klunt, and that is a battle for 13th place. Rob Mason is losing places left and right, not having a great start to this race. And Jajowski now also recovering from that back of the grid penalty and already trying to attack Mason. And there's 3 side by side into the final chicane. Jajowski gets away with it just about, even though he was off the track. And Jajowski goes into pits, I think, for a change of tire, since he did seem quite fast at this rate. So at this rate, we have a lot of pit stoppers, seemingly from the back of the grid and trying possibly to get their slower tire out of the way first. And I am actually able to see a little bit of comments from GPVWC at the moment. I can't really monitor them too much, but the Polar Bear does mention that it's nice, clean stuff. And yes, indeed it is. It actually seems very oddly clean. And I really, really hope it's going to keep up in this very clean manner until the end of the race and throughout the second race. Although there is definitely a bit of pushing with your shoulders everywhere. But from what I'm seeing, Dennis Jordan has Alex Siebel right on the very back end of himself. And DRS is going to be coming up very soon, which could mean that Alex Siebel will be closing up even more than the 3/10 of a second that he's been around behind Dennis Jordan, although that has dropped down to half a second, which is still a tiny gap. And it looks like it's going to be an absolute stunning battle for that lead throughout the race, hopefully maintaining all that pace throughout the entirety of the race. So I'm seeing a bit of a possible battle, again, a bit further back with Jason Muscat and Sandeep Choda. And apparently there is a battle for the lead, and Alex Siebel tried to go on the outside of turn 1. And then as Jordan does maintain the lead by going on the inside and having a bit better line, obviously, through the first corner. So let's just concentrate on the lead at the moment, since that seems to be probably the most important battle throughout for this race. So Alex Siebel definitely is trying to get back for that 9,000th of a second, which he has lost his qualifying by. And it's definitely one of those moments where I think both drivers are very similar in terms of their general speed and pace throughout this race, at least at the beginning of it. And Siebel just has that little bit of an edge. But now also what's very important is that DRS is enabled. So as far as I know, on lap 3, again, we have that war can begin with, of course, you can activate your DRS, which is the drag reduction system within if you're within the 1 second of the car preceding you. As far as I know, it also works on a lap car, which hopefully we won't have to be seeing too many of, although there are already cars within that kind of a range, which could possibly soon enough end up being lapped. However, right now it seems like Siebel has lost a little bit of time after that battle. Maybe his tires got a bit overheated, but now it seems like about 0.6 of a second after the last split, and it appears that we may have a bit of a slow moment for the lead. However, somebody that doesn't have a slow moment is a battle for 8th place. Roy Stroton and Terence Gretsch. Very close by. Both drivers very much wanting that place. That 8th place, and Gretsch goes on the inside of turn 1 and does it perfectly on the braking. Absolutely a beautiful clean move. Stroton just being a bit slower, even though they are on the same compound, and there they looked like he was on a slower one. However, very impressive stuff from Gretsch, and now the driver ahead is 3 seconds up. So I presume DRS did play a good part in that move. So it is definitely a pairing that we still have to watch out for, since there could be even more moves coming up later on. Just trying to keep an eye on more battles here, and at this point it looks like there was at least a little battle for 14th place, and which now turned into a battle for 15th place between Mason and Fuller. Mason defending and unluckily falling. He did start off on quite a high note, starting quite high up, and now being unluckily already in 15th place, the lowest of the point scorers, and still under attack from Mark Fuller. So it is possibly likely that Rob Mason may drop out from the top 15. And with that, what we still have a battle. We still have a battle for 5th place and 6th place, to be honest. Stefan Ruold, Antonio Hrajinovic, and Dowie Kacper being very close to one another. Ruold just having a bit of a better run out of the final corner, and Kacper just not being quite able to close down Hrajinovic, probably due to the DRS that both the drivers have. It seems like even though the gap was smaller between the two, there wasn't quite enough draft for Kacper to close down. As we have Menaclont in pits. It doesn't look like damage, so it looks like he's going off the harder compound onto the soft compound. So another driver going off onto the softer compound of tire, and it seems like it was actually the final driver to be on the hard compound of tires at this point in the race. However, something to get back to be honest, sorry about jumping around. But something I've just seen is that Alex Siebel actually went about 1/10 quicker than Dennis Jordan last lap, which was the fastest lap of the race. So it could be that we may have another attack soon enough, while other drivers seem to have fanned out a little bit. So with that, I think it is very important to concentrate on the lead battle, because it looks like we may just about have a move. Since Alex Siebel is closing down at a rate of knots to Dennis Jordan, they're going to be going into side-by-side, not quite into the final chicane. Siebel setting up a move for the start-finish straight. On the DRS, he will definitely have a better top speed, but can it actually help enough to overtake Jordan? I think it can. I think we're going to have a new leader coming into the first corner. Jordan takes a good defensive action going on the inside of P1. I'm not sure why he didn't even do it earlier, to be honest, since I think he would be able to, it would nearly be safer But it definitely worked, and Alex Siebel not quite able to get that moved on the start-finish straight. It seems like Dennis Jordan has a very good top speed, even without the RS, which definitely is helping his challenge for the win at the moment. However, we had a bit of a battle between Muscat and Strad earlier, which let their positions be swapped. So Jason Muscat now in 11th place with Sandy Choda being in his sights. He's about a second behind the Indian. And I think he'll be attempting to challenge for the top 10, and definitely one of the drivers who, again, started from the back of the grid and is going to be attempting to hopefully get one of those reverse grid sweet spots, which, of course, would be the top 6. However, of course, the top 10 can get a reverse grid, which, surprisingly enough, I think it has the biggest effect on the winner of the first race, although since last time we had 6 places, as just back to the battle for the lead, we are in the same exact area. Siebel, again, very close behind Jordan, trying to get the best exit out of the chicane. I think the gap is a little bigger than the last time. However, Siebel may be trying for maybe a move on the inside. That's something that's definitely on the books right now. But I think he's quite a bit too far this time around, and I think the exercise against it and slows down to make sure that he can make it through the turn 1 and 2 cleanly. Of course, any attack also degrades your tires at a larger rate. It just is a matter of life. As we had a bit of a mistake from Heljanovic, who went off in turn, it looks like turn 5 or so. Apparently he has let Dowie Tapper through, so Dowie Tapper up into 6th place, which again is probably the best spot if you're looking for that second race pole position, really, because you'll be very close to it, and this is a guaranteed reverse grid place. So honestly, that battle for the lead is very interesting, but I honestly think that we're going to Alex Siebel at this rate is going to be struggling with overtaking Dennis Jordan without some very, very brave move, which in the end could very much not help him with the tires. That's something that that's very important again, and I mention the tires all the time, but that's because, to be honest, it is probably one of the big concerns in this league, and to be honest, very similar to our bigger league as well, Super League. It is definitely one of the main aspects of these series that are key to being a fast driver around here, as well as, of course, being a very fast driver outright. As we have a bit of a lockup from Siebel, but I think he's not even really trying to overtake it right now. He's trying to make sure that he can maintain that car. So at this rate, somebody who's going to have to watching out right now is 5th place driver currently, Stefan Ruols. Dowie Tapper is only a second behind Stefan, and it looks like Dowie is actually very, very quick. Let's see the time. And the times from Dowie were about 1/10 of a second quicker last lap. So it could be that the next time around we're going to see a very, very close battle between them, or they can just close down. And it could be that we could have a couple very fascinating battles in the pit lane, to be honest. One of them could be, honestly, I have a feeling like the pit lane, the battle for the lead may be decided in the pit lane if Alex Siebel will be able to capitalize on some strategy different to Dennis, or Dennis could make a bit of a lead for himself. So, to be honest, it's all on. It could all happen in the pits in this race, and it looks like it's just quite difficult to overtake unless you're quite a bit quicker in these cars. So I'd say that's one factor. Looking through the field, we have, to be honest, we have a bit of a fan out grid or race right now. As I'm just looking at Dowie Tapper in 6th place, who was within 1/10 of a second or 1 second. As we have a battle for the lead, and Alex Siebel did go through on Dennis Jordan. So one moment, I didn't actually look at it, but Alex Siebel did make a move out of the final corner And on the DRS, he was just closer and was able to make his way on the outside of the first corner, just being able to by the turn-in, which appears that it was just a bad exit from Dennis, or just a fantastic exit from Alex, which means that Alex Siebel is now in the lead of the race. However, we don't know how much the tires will be compromised, but I would presume not as much as they could be. However, now what I'm interested to see is how Dennis Jordan can maintain Alex's pace, because they were basically tied in the qualifying. So it could be a very interesting comparison in terms of race pace versus qualifying pace. And of course, those two things are not equivalent. They're a fast driver in qualifying can be quite quick and will always be quite quick in the race, but you never know how exactly quick. As we had a match stand spin, and he has lost a few spaces now. He is being under threat. I think he's now in 14th place behind Mark Fuller. Yes. So just a spin out of, I think it was the hairpin. So a tough corner. Oh no, it was actually, sorry, it was on top of the S's. So actually a very tough corner as well. Very easy to go a bit too quickly and hitting that grass. It's quite blind, that corner, in many ways, and you don't really see the grass until it's too late. You really have to feel that corner to be to drive through it perfectly. So it's actually very impressive for drivers of the to do great lap. As we had Rob Mason doing a 360 apparently. So okay, so seems like he locked up a bit on the curb through Spoon and did a very nice looking 360 and barely being able to keep it straight. Right out of it. So this track is proving to be a bit difficult for the drivers, and I wouldn't. Oh, as Rob Mason goes sideways through turn one and barely keeps it going. I think he may be a driver to just look if you're really interested in seeing a slides as he goes into another one. Mason slides again as we had a Strand and Fuller touch somewhere. Strand already in front of Fuller. So must have overtaken into the first corner, so I'm hearing. And a bit of an update on the lead. Alex Siebel has made up already a 2-second lead, which is quite impressive, to be honest, since we've only had a couple laps to do it so far. But that does show quite a bit of the class from Alex Siebel and how fast he is. And apparently we have a battle for 7th and 8th between Terence Gretsch and Antonio Hrajanovic. Hrajanovic does have a run, but I think he's a bit too far at this point, and he did equalize the speed out. It seems like Hrajanovic is being a bit cautious. However, what I'm seeing is Gretsch has a bit of an issue with the rear tires. His rear end is actually moving about quite a lot more than Hrajanovic, which would suggest to me that he is quite aggressive on the rear end tires, and Hrajanovic is maybe just a bit more cautious, maybe a bit more, the car is maybe set up in a bit more understeer manner, which would, as we have Milan into the wall and lost a lot of spaces. Now Milan is down to 6th place, which would mean how many places has he lost? I don't think he actually lost. He has lost 2 places as he was running 4th. So Stefan Roll in 4th place, and Dowie Kacper, of course, is in 5th now. So Dowie Kacper having a great race, starting 7th, already up in 5th. And still not too far away from that 4th place of Stefan Roll. So a bit unlucky for Borja. Thankfully, he is still quite high up. However, now behind him is his teammate, Terence Gretsch. So he's going to have to really watch out, because if he does one more mistake, it will cost him a lot more than just 2 places, and could cost him quite a bit more later on in the second race as well. So at this point, Borja will really have to be really careful. However, back to Terence Gretsch, speaking of, he's under a heavy attack from Antonio Hrajanovic, who's very close for the final chicane, and could end up making a very good move on the start-finish straight. He is very close, and the DRS will be working. Borja is quite a bit further behind Dawi, and now Hranovic goes on the outside. I don't think that's going to work very well. Hranovic goes on the outside, still keeps it going through the first and second corners. Terence just keeps on the inside and is able to inch out before the end of the exit of turn 2, and is able to keep that 7th place just barely. Hranovic had an amazing run, but that outside is an incredibly difficult area to actually make work with to be honest, any car, because of just how fast these corners are and how much you have to brake and how steep the basically how sharp the second turn is. You don't realize it really if you take it perfectly, but that second corner at Suzuka is a very sharp corner to be taken. So we now have seemingly actually Hranovic running away or being a bit further behind. However, Gretsch seems to be going sideways. Although from seeing Fuller apparently, and not Strand but Yayovsky this time had a bit of a battle, and I'm not sure if there was any contact. But Yayovsky is in front of Fuller. To be honest, something to say for Fuller. He's doing a very fine job this race. Usually not the driver to be very fast with these cars, but he's definitely showing some decent pace and definitely a points scoring pace this race, which is quite highly impressive. Someone who's not been really showing up a lot in this race is Jeffrey Fournier, however. However, something to keep in mind is he is on a different strategy to pretty much all the drivers in front of him, except apart from just a couple. And to be honest, I don't see Jeffrey having a great race. He hasn't been fast in practice, and possibly just it's more of a sacrificial race. But however, that also means that the second race is going to be very difficult. And that just doesn't it just doesn't bode very well for this weekend for Jeffrey. He's been struggling quite a bit this season, of course, having a few disconnects from very good races earlier on in the season, and now just seemingly having trading bad luck all the time. However, something that could be interesting is Dino Paolini is 2 seconds behind Dennis Jordan. That, I'm not sure if that's going down any. It's not really at this very moment. It could, but I'm not entirely sure if we may not see Dino Paolini at some point, maybe coming back up still. I wouldn't put it past Dino. Dennis is currently about just under 3 seconds behind Alex, so the lead is fairly substantial at this point. So that's here a bit of an update on the leading drivers. So Stefan Rold and David Happer now are again very close. They're about a second for 4th place. I don't think that battle is going to go anywhere that quickly. However, that's something that I would suggest to watch in the pit lane. Since once those drivers have to pit in, I think it's going to be very interesting and very much depending on the pace and who's going to blink first, essentially, for the tires. Also, something that I'm interested to see is what tires we'll see coming onto those cars first. Are we going to see another set of soft tires, or are we going to see drivers do an actual stint on the harder compound? Of course, something I may not have mentioned throughout this race, we do have a requirement to run both compounds in the race for at least one racing lap. So that is you need so that one lap could be just a token lap, could be the final lap of the race, which we have seen in Singapore last time around in form of Alex Siebel, for example. Which usually means that the drivers actually do a 2-pick strategy with going onto the softer tire, because it's so much faster on heavy tire wear tracks. And apparently we have Terence Gretsch, Antonio Hranovic, and Roy Schroten in pits, so this could be a very interesting battle. I don't think there's going to be too much of a change in the order. However, we are going to have to literally just see, because we have seen some crazy stuff happening in pit lane before. Gretsch still in front of Herlianovic, and Schoten still behind both of them. So it looks like nothing has really changed. However, something that is very close is Herlianovic is now chased quite closely by Schoten, as we have more drivers in pits. Morten Wernersen, Matt Strand, and Jared Batalla, as we have Dawi Kacper, who spun and is now down in 6th place. He has spun in the S's. Ooh, that's a very odd spin. Just snaking around. And he did a 720, as Mike Pittman, our cameraman for this race, just letting me know. And yes, indeed, he did a 720 right there. That's, I mean, that's some skill in the car. However, he did lose a spot to Borja Milan, and of course that does hamper his battle with Stefan Rold. And I think he's going to be going into the pit lane fairly soon for a set of new soft compound tires. Speaking of, all drivers apart from Matt Strand are still on soft set of tires. So I'm just as I was predicting, we have a 2-stop strategy for most drivers, with the softer compound being preferable for the race, with only a token usage of a medium compound either at the beginning or the end of the race, as we have our ex-race leader Dennis Jordan already out of the pits. He is also on a soft compound, and now this is going to be a crucial part, because Dennis Jordan, if he can actually come out of the pits and start putting in sectors faster than Alex Siebel, he could possibly attempt to attack for the lead, very much depending on when Alex is going to pit in, which I think is going to be very soon. Another driver in pits, by the way, Sandeep Choda, currently falling down to 13th place. And I do, Dino Paolini, I think is about 5 seconds, so he is losing to Alex Siebel. And apparently we had Tapper under, we have a Tapper under attack now. And Terence Gretsch is attacking Terence Gretsch, or Dawi Tapper. Actually, Dawi Tapper did lose another place, I think. He was in 6th place even after the spin, so must have lost the place to Borja Milan, to be honest. Possibly after a pit or something. That looks like what could have happened, actually. And we have our 2 current leaders in pits, Alex Siebel and Dino Paolini, as well as Matt Strand coming out on the soft tires. So Alex Siebel going onto another set of softs, of course, like most drivers, and the same thing for Dino Paolini. So Alex Siebel is out of the pits way before Dino Paolini. Stefan Ruols currently leading a race, just barely in front of Alex Siebel. So at this rate, what looks like to me is that Alex Siebel is actually about a couple corners in front of Dennis Jordan. So I think the gap has maybe fallen just a tiny bit, but not by much. So so it just looks like we have had a tie in pits. So it very much looks like Alex Siebel is definitely getting away with it at the moment. Stefan Rold, of course, still having to pit in, and is going to very likely fall down to either 4th or 5th place. Another driver that was in pits, I think, last time around was Borja Milan, possibly. Or maybe just a slow lap. I'm not actually entirely sure. I didn't think of mentioning it. And Milan, I just got a confirmation. Yes, he indeed actually pitted in. So Borja Milan in front of Dawi Tapper in any case. So Tapper now in a bit of was in a fantastic spot, and now is in a bit of a tougher one, since he has to be very, unless something changes, he'll be very lucky. He'll have to get a bit lucky to get a reverse grid if he keeps on going in this spot. Of course, he has started from 7th place, so wouldn't be far off. And something. So Alex Siebel has made up a gap of about a second to Dennis Jordan through the pits. Actually, from what I'm seeing, it's currently about 3 seconds. with Ruold being currently 2 seconds in front of Alex Siebel. Of course, Ruold, again, still having to win. As we have our second driver to be lapped. Rob Mason was the first driver to be lapped this race. Second driver, Tom van der Voort, just about to be lapped by Stefan Ruold, having him in the side. And something very good to see is that every single driver that has started this race is still running. Very clean, very good race. I am very much enjoying it. Hopefully everybody watching it on both simnews.tv and GPVWC YouTube and simnews.tv Twitch. Definitely, I hope you're enjoying this race as much as we are, because it is actually very fascinating. And I think there's while there are a bit of slow moments, I think we have seen a good bit of action. And I think there's something going on still between Terence Gretsch and Douwe Tapper. They're very, very close. But then they both have to watch out for drivers behind them. And yes, the stream is split into 3 actually this time around. As I see has been mentioned in comments, it is actually on simnews.tv, both Twitch and YouTube channels, and then it is also in GPVWC. So it's all the same. It's all the same. It's just basically your preference of where you want to watch it. Also, for I presume it is quite useful for archival purposes more than anything, really. So at this rate, it looks like we have quite a few big gaps. And the closest one I could find currently would be Douwe Tapper and Terence Gretsch. Although, actually not quite. We have a bit of a gap fighting for just outside the points. Mark Fuller with Morten Wernersen. Mark for 16th place. So looks like Mark Fuller is on a bit fresher tires, if I recall correctly, and is maybe going to try and move into 130R. I don't think that's a good idea. Yeah, and Fuller has just pitted there about 1 or 2 laps ago. So it looks like Wernersen is under heavy attack from Mark Fuller. Who's just a bit of an exit issues with traction, and it has all gone off. So unluckily that battle is gone. However, something I'm seeing as well is the lead between Stefan Ruold and Alex Siebel is coming up to the looks like culmination, because to be honest, Alex Siebel is not going to be leaving a dry piece of cloth on Stefan. I think once he engages DRS, Stefan goes very much defensive, goes to the inside of the first corner, and Alex Siebel just has the outside, has the traction, and just goes by like as if it's nothing. So Alex Siebel up into the lead, and to be honest, Stefan Ruold is into the pits, and I think Stefan is actually trying a slightly different strategy. I think he's actually trying to go as long as he can on this set of tires, and possibly changing onto a set of medium tires or hard tires without having to do 2 pit stops. It's going to be a very interesting one to see. But I think, and luckily, this strategy is going to be quite a bit slower. Since as we're already seeing, Alex Siebel is already in front and he has already done a pit stop. However, of course, Alex Siebel was in front. And Dennis Jordan is actually closing. He's about 3 seconds behind Alex, so the gap is not getting smaller or bigger. However, he's now going to have to deal with Stefan Ruold himself. And this could be an interesting little battle. There are still 2 seconds to go, but I think with the pace that has been shown, which is a second quicker than Stefan, I think we're going to see a battle within a couple of laps. With that said, Alex Siebel has put in the fastest lap of the race last time around, and he's going for another very fast lap this time. Just about to cross the line, and he does another fastest lap of the race, and it's 1:37.635, which is a highly impressive time. There's only one other driver this race to have gone down into 37s. Has done a 37.8, and that's Dennis Jordan. who currently is in 38.2s, which looks like Alex Siebel's basically just completely. Well, Alex Siebel is overpowered. That's just what it is at the moment. He's just absolutely out of this world, it seems like, compared to everybody else. Of course, the cars are all the same. For anybody that doesn't know the steers, the cars are all the same. They're a Zytek / Nissan, Zytek / Renault powered, following a Renault 3.5s with a V8 and DRS system mounted to the rear wing, of course. They're fairly powerful, around 500 horsepower, if I recall correctly, and they're very, very interesting. They're interesting cars, and in reality, unluckily, they're going quiet. That series is unluckily getting pretty much extinct. However, we still have a plentiful of drivers here, and I think it is quite strong. The field is actually, there's quite a bit of quite a few fairly quick drivers. It seems like a lot of them have fairly bad luck. So again, Jeff Fournier comes to mind with quite bad luck this season. However, he's up to 12th place already, so maybe his early pit stop actually is paying off, and he may be going for as long as he can without pitting in. And Stefan Ruolt finally comes into the pits, and something that's going to be very interesting is he going to go onto a heavier compound. And yes, harder compound, and he does go on the hard compound of tires. So he is going on the harder compound for a one-stop strategy. Unlike most of the front runners, he is going to be attempting to get as far as he can. He attempted to go as far as he can on the soft tires without losing much time, and now is on the hard tires. And something that I'm going to be very, very interested in is seeing his pace, because we've not seen any fast drivers really put in any fast laps on the hard compound. And I think that's going to really make it or break it in terms of whether these tires are of any use for any fast circuits really until the end of the season. So the likes of Brazil and such. As we had another fastest lap from Alex Siebel, by the way, he is absolutely on fire. However, Dennis Jordan this time around has put in the fastest first sector of anybody this race. So he is definitely putting in some pace now. However, he's nearly 4 seconds behind Alex. So I really wonder if Dennis even has the slightest chance of catching up to Alex. Of course, there's still about 8 or 9 laps left to go. About 8, I think, at this point. And to be honest, anything could still happen. But I think at this rate, we're gonna have Alex Siebel winning this race, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be crucial in terms of the reverse grid as to what the chances of Alex doing something like he did in Singapore with winning both races is going to be. I haven't done the maths on the championship, so unluckily I can't say if he can win the championship this round. I highly doubt it, considering we still have a good few rounds to go. But I think he's getting very close to that kind of a goal. And at this rate, if he can keep this going, I think he may have it before the final double round. And of other drivers right now, it seems like most gaps are currently in about 3, 4, 5 seconds. So, unluckily, it seems like everybody has spread out, and the closest thing I can see is about 2 seconds between Batalla and Klunt. And unluckily, about a lap or two ago, we have had our first retirement this race. It was a crash from Rob Mason about 20 seconds ago, in fact. Rob Mason has crashed through the S's, actually coming into the second set of the S's, and just going wide onto the grass and crashing into a wall, losing both wings, and he called it a day. So first retirement of the day, Rob Mason, who has had quite a bit of trouble with keeping that car on the track anyway. So unluckily, with a great start of this race, he has retired at this point after the disappointing middle part. And so I think it is the first lap. We're starting to get our first lap from Stefan Ruolt, and the first stickers are coming in terms of the fastest, in terms of how fast we can expect the hard tires to go. And it appears like we're having quite a bit of a struggle, about a half a second slower in every sector. compared to Alex Siebel, of course, but it's still a comparison. And we have a 139.2, which is it's not actually too far off Stefan's fastest lap of his own on the softer compound, but he was saving tires. Something of note, however, last lap Dino Paolini ended up with the fastest lap of the race, actually going faster than Alex Siebel by 0.03 of a second in terms of the fastest lap. And it just appears like Dino is attempting to maybe close down on Dennis, who's about a half a second slower at this point, which is nothing to scoff at. It is quite a bit of a difference, and at this rate, definitely Dino could be winning with a shot if he can maintain that kind of a pace. Of course, Dino being the first contender for, or the first challenger for the championship behind Alex, which, to be honest, it's very hard to see Dino pulling in front of Alex, but Dino has shown some incredible consistency over the last few rounds, not winning a single race over the last 4 rounds, but scoring. Actually, he hasn't. To be honest, Dino hasn't won a single race this entire season, but in the last 4 rounds, 4 double rounds, he has scored 6 second place finishes, 1 4th place and 1 6th place. So, and of that, he had a running tally of 5 second place finishes all the way until the first race, including the first race in Singapore. So, Paolini will definitely want to get that second place again. He seems to very much would like that, which kind of shows that consistency is key, since the third place driver is Wopke Hoekstra, who's actually not driving today. And he is he actually did win 2 races this season, and yet he is by far twice as far behind Siebel as Dino is, so 40 and 70. As we had Milan overtake Muscat for 5th, so Muscat seems to be a bit slow at this point. It definitely looked like apparently Muscat has been on these tires for ages, basically starting off with a set of hard tires and going for a set of hard tires for a set of soft tires about a couple laps in, and now has been on them for absolutely ages. And now I think it is kind of showing with his lap times being, to be honest, his lap times in the entire race have been in 1:39, which aren't that impressive. However, his consistency has been quite good. It has been 39s all along, so maybe he knows something that we don't about how these tires can last. And apparently we had Kraljevic who spun and lost to Gretsch. So 9th place for Kraljevic now. Gretsch up into 8th. It seems like Kraljevic is also very much struggling with his car. I need to see if he has heavy suspension damage, in fact. If we can see an onboard shot from Kraljevic, you can clearly see that his wheel is quite clearly turned to the left at all times on straights. As we have Jason Muscat finally coming in for tires from that 6th place, and now coming in for a set of hard tires, actually, so he must have started on the softs. So at this point, Muscat, of course, he did start from the back of the grid, so either way, this is actually quite impressive stuff from Muscat, being running in the top 10. However, he now has been demoted to 11th. And at this rate, very much. And apparently we have a battle between Schroten and Kraljevic. Kraljevic is in 8th place, fighting for just maintaining that 8th place. And of course, the higher you go right now in this exact area, in terms of positions, it's going to be easier for you to get a reverse grid start up in the top 3, 4, maybe even pole position. Schroten is on the very back of Kraljevic, absolutely not an inch between them through some very fast corners. So I would assume that Schroten is going to go for quite a bit of a move into possibly even Spoon at this rate, with the speed difference between the two. Possibly going on the inside of Spoon. However, that would not be too wise. No, he decides against it. And it was very close. Kraljevic just going slightly sideways onto the grass, into the first part of Spoon. Just onto the grass again with the tires. I don't think you're going to be liking that. Schroten right behind. I think this season, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think Stroton is definitely not attempting a move into 130R. Smart movement, just keeping on the very back end of Freljanovic. Trying to move into the final chicane, not quiet. They do break at the exact same point. Stroton, however, keeps it right behind Freljanovic. He goes into the pits. I think his tires are completely shot. So Freljanovic down into the pits from 8th place. Stroton back up to 8th. And Shoda in pits as well. So Muscat back up to 9th place on the hard tires, and it's going to be very interesting if he can keep it away from Jeffrey Fournier catching up to him and overtaking him, because Jeffrey is on a faster compound of tires and he will be closing down. The last lap comparison would be irrelevant considering Jason just pitted in. So let's see the last couple sectors, which the last sector was identical between Muscat and Fournier, but of course Muscat was also Muscat was 4/10 slower in the middle sector, so I think it's going to be very difficult for Fournier to actually get up. However, both of these drivers have started from the back of the grid, and I think it is a very impressive thing to be up into 9th and 10th place, as we have Milan catching up to Ruold. And he's catching up at a rate of knots. Ruold, of course, on the harder compound, and we have Milan catching up at a rate of 2 seconds a lap. So I think Ruold is actually going to be done for right on this straight. I don't see Ruold defending himself from Milan on DRS on this start-finish straight. He goes defensive onto the inside. However, I don't think it's going to matter because he's just going to have to slow down sooner. And it looks yes, Milan just goes on the outside and is basically in front of him before they even break. Which they do break quite late. Terence Gretsch in pits. Alex Siebel actually showing some impressive pace again, going putting up the fastest lap of the race. And of other drivers, Milan up into 4th now, even though he did have a 360 spin earlier. Fournier up into 9th and 8th for Jason Muscat. So Kacper up into 6th as well. So all the top 4 as well, something very important to keep in mind, all have to stop for a set of hard compound of tires. They have been on softs from the start of the race. They have pitted in, of course. However, they've been using these tires as you have to use the hard tires at some point for at least a lap. So I think we'll see them. I think we'll definitely see them pitting in on the final lap, except for Dino Paulini, who's already in pits. He still have 2 laps to go, and he's going to be going in for a set of hard tires. I don't know if it's such a good idea to come in early. I mean, yes, it will let him get a bit of a possibly miss the mess that's going to be in the pit lane, but I think he's going to be too slow to be able to challenge Jordan in any capacity if he does something like this. Also, I just realized that we have a second. No, we have Van der Voort in pits. I nearly thought we had a second retirement just looking at the race view. However, we still have 19 drivers of 20 running, which is a highly impressive number to be honest, and I hope that is going to be very similar in the second race. And now the drivers on the harder compound of tires. This could be quite interesting. It's Dino Paulini, Stefan Ruold, Jason Muscat, Terence Gretsch, Antonio Hrajnovic, Sandy Choda, Mark Fuller, and Morten Wernersen, as well as Tom van der Voort. So this looks to me like we may have, if all aligns, Jeffrey Fournier could technically try and catch up to Muscat. However, they're doing lap times which are very similar anyway, so I don't think there's going to be much. So it seems like Fournier is a bit slow, to be honest. It's very odd, as we have Alex Siebel in. It is, I think, the second to last lap, so he could have put in. Oh, sorry, it is the final lap now. So it was the final moment to pit in. So Siebel and Dennis Jordan both in pits for their final stop, and we're also gonna see Milan in pits from 4th place, very likely. So Siebel comes out of the pits with a good lead, quite easily in the lead, and Dennis Jordan 7 seconds behind by the looks of it, with Mark Fuller in between to add to the company. Dino Paolini is not too far. He's about 2 corners away from Dennis Jordan, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch up quite yet. Borja Milan up into the pits, and so is Dowie Tapper. This is going to be very interesting since Dowie could be losing out to Roy, Roy is also in pits, so Jason Muscat is the one that may actually come in front of some of these drivers. So Milan in front of Roy. Milan in front of everybody. Muscat is going to get Schroten. Muscat is not quite able to get Dowie Tapper. So, Jason Muscat, quite impressive from the back of the grid, and same as Jeffrey Fournier. They may not have had the fastest pace, as we have Terence Gretchen pits. That's odd. Why would you pit for the final lap? Unless it looks like he actually had a drive-through penalty. So Terence Gretchen must have sped in pit lane, and unluckily, Terence Gretchen is ending up in what looks like to be 14th place after quite a good race. So this is very disappointing. Another driver who has started from the back of the grid, Erhan Yayovsky in the 10th place. That's actually very impressive as well. To be honest, a lot of the back of the grid starters have impressed this race, and I think their start on the hard tire. As we had Alex Siebel finish this race in the lead, so we now have a winner of this race, Alex Siebel, which is absolutely amazing. It's his 3rd race in a row that he has won. And now Dennis Jordan coming in second, Dino Paolini in third. This is a quite unusual podium this season. I would say quite a good selection of drivers who have been quite consistent this race or this year. With Stefan Ruold in 4th place, good effort. Interesting to see a different strategy going on, a single pit stop strategy with Borja Milan coming in that 5th place, even though he has spun earlier. In a quiet and interesting fashion, if I recall correctly, a 360. Coming in 5th place. 6th place for Dowie Tapper, very impressive, starting from 7. Also had a bit of a 720 spin. So, a lot of spinners this race. Very difficult track, to be honest. Jason Muscat in 7th place with 8th for Jeffrey Fournier. Also, again, Muscat and Fournier starting from the back. Roy Schroten 9th, 10th for Erhan Yayovsky. 11th for Antonio Ralanovic. Sandeep Choda in 12th. 13th for Gerard Batalla, who spins on the finish line. We have Terence Gretsch in 14th, 15th for Menakland, 16th for Mark Fuller, 17th for Matt Strand, Morten Wernersen in 18th, and the final of the finishers in 19th, Tom van der Voort, who has ended up in a very fascinating spot, to be honest, at this point, which ended up without 2 wheels, either of the wings, and in between a barrier and a catch fence. So, interesting finish to the race. I guess he had a bit of a interesting finish. Also, so to be honest, I think Alex has done quite well this race and finished 9 seconds in front of Dennis, which is big lead in these cars. I'm not entirely sure if it's the biggest this season. I doubt it, but it could be. And luckily I don't have the stats. Yeah, it would be a bit difficult to dig them up and this quickly. Actually, no, it definitely isn't, since last race we had 13.7 seconds gap, and that was in a sprint race. So, and 15 seconds in Armand. So never mind. This is actually nowhere near the largest gap. It is large enough for Supercup, but it's not. It's not the largest by far. So something interesting is that Dowie Tapper and Jason Muscat are actually teammates, and and they have finished in 6th and 7th place both, even though although Jason Muscat again started from the back and Dowie Tapper started from 7th. So interesting. Interesting comparison of the drivers, and I think both of them are very fast, but but it seems like Dowie just not having quite as good of a race, to be honest, even though he finished in front. A lot of stuff happening in this race, and I think I need a sip of water after all this. I haven't actually. You should. And I think we're gonna go to a little bit of a video for about a minute. So I welcome you to watch that video, and I will see you on the other side. Oh, dear God.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
So we are back, and yeah, what an exciting race. And to be honest, I think this is going to be a very interesting one, and we'll see how well we're going to see drivers like Siebel do with a reverse grid, which we do not, or we do have the number now. The reverse grid number is 9. This is going to be difficult. So Schroten is on pole position for the next race, and this is going to be fascinating. Alex Siebel, last time we had the number was 6, and he did make it to front. As far as I recall, when we were at Spa, or at, I can't remember if it's Spa or I think it was Spa. I recall that we had something like 8, and as far as I know, that was an impossible task for Siebel to win. So it's going to be interesting how well he does, because if he wins another one, I highly doubt that anybody is going to have anything on him this season. Honestly, 4 wins in a row it would be at this rate, and that is not something to scoff at. And honestly, this win, either way we slice it, makes it 1 win per every round that he showed up for. So, one double round. So, what is going to be? I'm just trying to think quickly. So we have had another 9 points a lead change in terms of Alex Ebel in front of Dino Paolini, I think. So I'm just trying to figure out some quick numbers. So we are 49 points in front. I'm just trying to find quickly how many races we have. So we're still far away from being the champion. We still have 4 double rounds afterwards. So we're still a good ways away from being a champion. However, at this rate, what it looks like is essentially if Alex Ebel has bad luck in one double round, and doesn't finish either of the races, or has to leave for one double round, he is safe for a lead, essentially, by the looks of it, unless something changes this race, of course. So that's something very interesting and something he can keep in mind. Having that gap is so nice, and I think, although I don't think Alex Ebel is really going to be minding, and I don't think he's going to be letting go at any point, just because he'll know that he has a championship. So we have I finally have some grid numbers, so I can just quickly check. So something that's very fascinating is drivers who were starting at the back of the grid and had a very, very, what looked like to be a very difficult weekend are going to be starting in second and third. Jeffrey Fournier starting in second place and Jason Muscat in third. So here's something I'm going to say outright. I think that unless something really drastic happens, Jeffrey could be attempting a fight for the win. However, his single lap pace wasn't quite there. It was just that but I feel like he was saving the tires throughout his entire run. So, from what I'm seeing right now, he's doing 38.6, which would be faster than basically his fastest lap last race. Which, to me, looks like, honestly, Jeffrey Fournier is going to be my pick for the winner this race. So that's my little prediction. And look, I don't have anybody else here unless my cameraman wants to chime in as to who could be winning this one. But I honestly think Jeffrey Fournier has a good chance, and Jason Muscat will be definitely a big challenger as well. But you can't discount Alex Ebel either. So of course, drivers like that, Dino Paolini and such. I don't think we can discount any of those drivers coming up to the front. So Mike Pitton has just said that he thinks that maybe may have a win from Jason Muscat. He quite fancies a win from Muscat. So that does seem like a reasonable choice. He has finished the race quite high up, and both of them started from the back of the grid, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's going to be a fascinating race, and it'll be very interesting. And seeing how the race was very clean the first time around, I absolutely hope that we're going to see another one of those starts this time around. I just hope we're not going to have any of the drivers being a little bit, how should I put it, naughty. I just hope that everybody keeps their nose clean. And luckily, sometimes it is that you risk a bit more once you know that you don't have to worry about a reverse grid race afterwards. So just hope that doesn't happen. As we have first drivers actually setting up on the grid, we still have about 30 seconds before we go on to formation lap. Of course, if you have any questions, I would probably ask you to put them down in the GPVWC comment section on YouTube, because I just can't monitor all the sections, to be perfectly honest. However, as I will remind, we are live on GPVWC, simnews.tv on YouTube, and simnews.tv on twitch.tv. So we are off onto the formation lap. And starting from the pole position, reverse grid pole position, is Roy Schroten, followed by Jeffrey Fournier, a driver who has started from the back of the grid, as I have mentioned quite a few times before. Jason Muscat in the same boat as Jeffrey, with Dowie Tapper in 4th place. A very good starting position, and he could be in for attempting maybe even for a fight for a podium. I wouldn't discount it from Dowie. With Borja Milan in 5th place, with 6th for Stefan Ruolt, who has had an interesting strategy in the first race, and 7th for Dino Paolini, with 8th for Dennis Jordan, 9th for our race winner, Alex Siebel. It's going to be a very tough ask for Alex to win this one as well, but who knows, you can never discount Alex. Erhan Yayovsky is in 10th place with 11th for Antonio Raljanovic, 12th for Sandeep Choda, and 13th for Gerard Batalla, 14th for Terence Gretsch, with 15th for Menno Klont, 16th for Mark Fuller, with 17th for Matt Strand. Following him will be Morten Verneson, 18th. 19th is seemingly a pit starter, Tom van der Voort, and in 20th, we do have Rob Mason back. So our only retiree of race 1 is back on the grid, which is good to see. So we're back up to 20 drivers as long as Tom is starting from the pits. I'm not entirely sure why he's starting from the pits, but he is. But of course, you do have a bit of a... I don't think you have too much of a leeway, to be honest, in the second race. It's more of a first race that you have a bit of a leeway in terms of types. So I'm not entirely sure why he's starting from the pits, possibly just to avoid the mess of the first corner, to be perfectly honest. However, we're starting to close down and coming up to the final few corners. And something very interesting. Schroten could be in for an attempt for a win. I don't think, I will have to double check that right now. I don't think Schroten has won a single race this season. And I just need to confirm that. If I can have that tab open. And luckily, there's a lot of things I have open, and I just can never find the right one quickly. As we are setting up on the grid, however, and I may just need to check that afterwards for you, because we do have most drivers on the grid spots already. They're gridding up pretty quickly. So the lights are going to be going red in just a second. We have the first set coming on now. Second, third, fourth, and fifth. And here we go. Lights are out. An amazing start from Fournier. It seems like a bit of a good start from Schoten nonetheless, but I think Fournier has the insight into the first corner. I think there's going to be, oh, that was very close, but Fournier through, Muscat through, and Schoten losing places left and right. He's already down into 4, Tapper up into the podium. Milan not able to get through. Tapper, really good start as well. It seems like Schoten has just been absolutely bullied to the outside of turn 1. Then absolutely just a train of cars, very similar to what you've seen on a super speeder in NASCAR. Just absolutely a train of cars following through. And now we have Jeffrey Fournier in the lead, possibly attempting for his win. It'll be very good. It will be very good to see his luck changing around after a good few rounds of just absolutely terrible luck. However, Alex Siebel has gained a single spot on Dennis Jordan. So Jordan down into 9th, Alex Siebel into 8th. So Jordan definitely not looking at the win at this point, as far as we know, from Alex Siebel's space. However, Dino Paolini is now under threat from Alex Siebel, and I think that's going to be quite a big battle, because we have seen that Dino Paolini is a little bit slower than Alex Siebel. Not by much, mind you, but he is a little bit slower. And I think that's going to be the closest thing we're going to have to battle at this point. And Siebel, at the moment, just side by side, nearly going into the final chicane. Oh, there's a bit of contact. And I hear parts flying. As in front, we have a driver side by side, Schroten and Milan. Now we have 4th and 5th place fighting currently side by side going into the first corner. I think Schroten has this on the inside. They touch again, and thankfully nothing comes out of it. Thankfully it was just a tiny touch, but that was a very scary moment. Milan behind Schroten. Schroten just hanging on by for his dear life in front. as Paolini, his teammate, in fact, is under heavy attack from Siebel. As I'm hearing more parts damaged as Kacper out. Kacper without a front or rear wing. I think he's out of this race. What happened there? He has just completely lost it. Just a car twist on him, and he counter-steered straight into a wall, losing both his wings. And I think the car just completely died. That was a very unfortunate end to his race, considering his race, to be honest, until that point was quite good. So very, very unlucky for Dowie, and his first race was definitely a great one, but second, not so much. Very unlucky. However, that is racing, and it was unlucky, a mistake. As I see 3 drivers being completely nose to tail. Alex Siebel, Erhan Jajowski, and Dino Paolini not in that order. Dino Paolini in front of Siebel. Siebel must have overtaken Jajowski at some point, and now Siebel attempting a possible move on Paolini. On the outside, into the final chicane. Is he actually going to try a move on the outside? We have seen one of them stick before, and he doesn't. And apparently we had Milan actually also overtake Schroten at the same time. So now Siebel up into 6th, Milan up into 3rd place. Muscat is still in 2nd with Fournier running away about 2 seconds in the lead. Currently, Borja Milan 5 seconds behind the leader. It's going to be very interesting to see if Alex Siebel can actually run up and possibly attempt a move, because he has to deal with this quickly if he even dreams of attempting a move into the lead at any point in this race. He has to be very quick about this. We know he has the pace, but can he actually do it? So it seems like the drivers are still very packed in there for the place for Roy Schroten. Although, to be honest, it looks like the driver in front of him, Borja Milan, is starting to run away. So Schroten not quite having the pace, as we have Matt Strand hitting in. Possibly with damage. Yes, he doesn't have the rear wing. So Matt Strand not having a great race of his own. He is in the pit with damage. Back to 4th place, however, and Grewald looking in for a possible move into the spoon. I don't think that was a very smart move, even if he was able to do it. However, now Schroten actually made a little bit of a gap, and it's something that Grewald is going to have to be wary of. That's Alex Siebel right on his tail, already showing himself in the mirrors, possibly attempting a move into the final chicane again. That seems like his favorite overtaking spot right now, and he brakes quite a bit later. However, there's a bit of a contact, and Siebel not quite able to make it, as I've seen somebody in the gravel? Not quite. It must have been a... Oh no, Borja Milan! Borja Milan has left the race. He has disconnected. So that's what I've seen in the gravel. It was a disconnection. So Borja Milan from a great race as well of his own. And luckily, something just not quite working out. We already have more retirements than last race. Way more. We already have 4 retirements. An engine, and some kind of an engine trouble from Dennis Jordan. Top report in 19th. 18th. Already DNF, but we don't know why. Dowie Kacper, of course, out, and Borja Milan now out. So with Matt Strand, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point would also retire, considering his current loss to the driver in front. Although he may be still looking at points, to be honest, if anybody else retired. So this is definitely a race where everybody is pushing quite a bit. As we have a battle for 3rd place between Schroten and Grewald. Grewald going on the outside, going into Spoon. I don't think that's ever going to work, and he touches the grass, doesn't brake, loses a lot of places, and now he's behind Jajowski. Siebel up into 4th place. That was a gift and a half. We have a Klunt and Hrdjanovic both spinning, possibly both contact? No. Actually, so Hrdjanovic made it, okay, Hrdjanovic was half spinning, and then what happened to Klunt was he was trying to avoid Hrdjanovic spinning around, and went onto the grass and couldn't get the traction out of the corner. So Milo Klunt's kind of an innocent victim in that, unluckily. So with that, Schroten losing a lot of places suddenly. Oh, it must be the DRS. DRS is now open, so Alex Siebel and Dino Paolini all just straight through Schroten on the start-finish straight, and absolutely without any trouble. So now, Siebel is 8 seconds behind Jeffrey Fournier, and he is about 5 seconds behind Jason Muscat. Let's look up the times. We're talking about mid 38 for Jeffrey. We're talking about, wow, 0.4 of a second faster from Alex Siebel than Jason Muscat, who is actually another 0.4 quicker than Jeffrey Fournier in the first sector alone. This looks like it could be a big challenge for the win, as we also have another massive battle between Schoten and Jajowski. Schoten not having a great race of his own for 5th place at the moment. Another move on the outside of Spoon. No. That was never going to work. So Jajowski just having to wait for another straight. I think he's going to not move into 130R. I hope he doesn't make a move. Oh, he does. Oh no, this is not going to end well. Jajowski going in on the inside. He does have a proper overlap. It is definitely a valid move, and they do actually make it. Very surprising, but very high levels of downforce in these cars. So I guess that was a very good move from Jajowski, and Jajowski up into 5th place. Very impressive. As I've seen, there was a bit of possible contact between Ruolt and Choda right behind. And we had the fastest lap by Siebel, which is, wow, 1.2 seconds quicker than Jason Muscat's fastest personal lap, which he just set, and nearly 2 seconds quicker than Jeffrey Fournier, who was on a fairly slow lap, to be honest. Everywhere, I think he's trying to maintain his tire degradation at a reasonable level. However, we still have so many laps that I don't think this is going to end well if this is how we're going to go. So Jeffrey Fournier is going to be under heavy pressure by not too long from now. That is another 6 tenths in the first sector alone that Alex Siebel has taken out of Jeffrey Fournier. So this is going to be fascinating, and Alex Siebel could be going on for a 4th win in a row if he can manage to overtake the 2 drivers in front of him. However, Muscat is also catching Fournier, so we may actually see at this rate, what can happen is they could possibly even catch up at a similar pace to the point where we may have a 3-way battle for the lead, which would, to be honest, I wouldn't mind that because it would be very fascinating as we have Matt Strand going down the lap. As we have a side-by-side of Roy Schoten and Stefan Ruolt going into, for 6th place, going to the final chicane, and looks like Ruolt is attacking, going on the outside. As I'm hearing, Jajowski actually went straight on in the chicane, so he is still in 5th place at the moment. However, Stefan Ruolt just goes through without absolutely any issue on Roy Schoten. Just absolutely a clean move. Roy had absolutely nothing to defend himself with. The deed was done by turn 1. By the breaking point, in fact. And from what I'm seeing, we're seeing another fastest lap from Jason Muscat last time round. Only about 3 tenths quicker than Jeffrey Fournier. And Alex Siebel further 9 tenths quicker than Jason Muscat. At this rate, it really does look like we're going to have a 2-way scrap for the win here. And we're only 33% through this race, so I think we still have a good bit of battling going on, and I think this race is actually quite a bit closer, all things considered. Speaking of closer, 10th place battle between Terence Gretsch and Menno Klunt. Very, very close. Menno Klunt going for a possible move into Spoon, but Terence Gretsch going sideways, essentially defending. I don't know how he's keeping that car within the bounds of the track, but he somehow is. However, Menno Klunt definitely catching up again on the exit, just seems to have a bit better one, and possibly is going to be attempting a move into the chicane, if not, possibly on the start-finish straight on the DRS. However, Gretsch is going to have another DRS of his own, considering he's also technically battling Batalla in front. As we have Jajowski losing out a place to Ruolt for 5th place. Sorry for jumping around, but I only just seen that with the corner of my eye. So yeah, Jajowski must have just just lost out on DRS, I would only assume, since the gap between them was 0.3 of a second across the line. And Yayovsky is indeed about seconds slower than Stefan Ruold at the moment. That's actually quite an impressive pace, to be honest. Ruold's pace only second currently to Alex Siebel. And not even that far off. It's a 1/10 difference between the two. So Ruold going for a fantastic and blistering speed. Which would mean that he may be going for an attack on Dino Paolini at some point later on in the race, if he can maintain that. Although Dino Paolini is also not going it's not going slowly. However, what I'm seeing is Alex Siebel has just done the fastest first sector of anybody in this race. And now is going through the second sector. Is this going to be a record? Not quite. It's fast, but not as fast. Or actually, no, it is very fast. It is 3/10 quicker than Jeffrey Fournier's lap, and about 6/10 than Jason. Apparently, Hryljanovic just overtook Mason for 12th place. However, Mason is trying to get back on him. I'm seeing quite a bit of slipstreaming working in there. Quite a bit of top speed, and now he's going to be going for a move for that 12th place into the chicane. Can he do it on the inside? Ooh, that's not going to work. No, but Rob Mason may be trying to get a better exit, and he is very close. I think he's going to do it on the RC. I think he's going to get back on Hryljanovic again. Hryljanovic, again, is going to lose that 12th place again, just after he got it. Mason does it way before the turn-in. I think he has a lot less of downforce than that car of Antonio Hryljanovic. It looks like, surprisingly, Rob Mason has gotten his car a bit better hooked in this race than the first time around. As Hryljanovic spins, and he just loses another place to Mark Fuller. And that will definitely not do his tires any better. And we're not even halfway through this race. So, something I was predicting is kind of happening, although not quite to the degree I was thinking it would. We have 1.5 seconds between Fournier and Muscat, and that kind of seems like a steady gap, although Fournier now seems faster, in fact, than Muscat. However, Siebel is still way faster than either of those drivers, and he's now less than a second behind Muscat. That is going to be a fascinating battle, and I think Muscat will have to defend for his life right now on DRS, and it's going to be very difficult to defend from somebody the caliber of Alex Siebel. And he has shown that he definitely can overtake this race. Going on the inside of turn 1, I don't think he quite has the overlap, and he backs out of it. Thinks better of it. He knows he still have exactly half of the race to go, and I don't think it would be wise to attack so in a hot-headed manner. And he knows that he is very close to that lead, so he can definitely taste it. But you do need to finish and not make mistakes to, of course, win a race. And at this rate, also something that's fascinating is that Dino Paolini is actually catching up to this pair. And Dino Paolini is now in, basically, he has them in sight, and looks like we're going to have, in fact, possibly even a 4-way battle for the lead. This could be one of the best battles we have had, except that now Muscat is under defense, and it's going to be a 3-way battle for the second place instead, I think. And yes, so David Frančić is commentating on GPVWC. I rarely watch SC broadcast, but these races are fun. These races, yes, these races have been great, to be honest. And to be honest, the battling in this race has been better. And to be honest, Singapore was really good as well in many ways. So honestly, Supercup, not a bad series to watch. Highly recommend, of course, and custom. And Siebel has a great drive on Muscat. Is he gonna go on the inside again? He is. Yep, still on a limit possibly. But he has this. He completely had. He didn't have to overlap. He was already completely in front of Muscat by the breaking point for turn 1 and was on the inside. So Siebel now on charge to catch up to Jeffrey Fournier. This is going to be a fascinating race, and Fournier has to pull out some incredible moves to stay in front of Alex Siebel which is absolutely an unstoppable force. It's just... It appears that we're going to be seeing Alex Siebel going for the second double round win in a row, which is something that is quite unthinkable and something reminiscent of last year's domination by none other than Lars Brugman. And I'm not even sure how many times he managed to get 4 races in a row. I know that his average was 1 race or 1 win a race. Or one win a round, sorry. A double round, that was his average throughout the entire season, which was fascinating. Well, Alex Siebel is going for something like that and more. And at this rate, he may even end up with even more double race wins. But he first still has to catch up to Jeffrey Fournier, of course. And Jeffrey Fournier is not gonna give up this lead that easily. But even if he does, to be honest, for somebody who started on the back of the grid in the first race, I think he's doing a fantastic job to be in first place in second race, already 11 laps in. It's something to behold, to be honest. And I think it is quite unlucky that a lot of the drivers like David Kacper and Borham Land, well, actually just these two, retired quite a bit earlier on in the race, either through a fault of their own or through their connection, because otherwise Alex Siebel would have to have a bit more of a fight, and possibly even give a bit more of a leeway for Fournier to run away, because Siebel was definitely being held back by a lot of the drivers he was encountering, as he is definitely visually closer. He's nearly within a second of Fournier, which would mean that we could see an overtake as soon as a couple laps from now, or even sooner, depending on how quickly he actually closes down within the next couple laps. Something I'm seeing as well is there's a 4-way battle going on for 8th place between Sandy Choda, Terence Gretsch, Dara Bacala, and Mena Clump. I didn't realize that they're actually this close, but indeed they are, and it nearly looks like it could be, although Terence Gretsch is kind of running, or actually, yes, Choda has lost a lot of time in this sector. He's been fighting with Roy Schroten. Now he's lost enough time, 5 seconds in fact, that Terence Gretsch is behind him. Must have made a mistake somewhere. And Terence Gretsch goes on the inside, and there's a contact. Gretsch gets turned around, and there is another bit of contact between Gretsch and Batalla. But I think Batalla is going to be attempting a move in the slipstream and going up for that DRS move. Possibly attempting a move on the inside. No, the outside of turn 1. Going to get a proper overlap. Can he actually manage to stick it on the outside? Another couple of contacts, a couple of bumps, and Batalla goes into the gravel. That was a bit unlucky from both drivers as Batalla spins again. Watch out, Mason barely gets around. Now at this rate, unluckily Batalla goes down from a very good place, which was 10th, down to 12th. So unluckily, Batalla has had a bit an unlucky break in so far, as he was fighting for 9th place. A bit of a tough luck with that touch, but they were touched. I think they touched about 3 or 4 times before going off. So a bit scary moment and unlucky. Unlucky, you can't do much about that right now, and I can't judge who was at fault there, so I'm not going to bother. However, something that we need to look at this point is Alex Siebel and Jeffrey Fournier for the lead. They're only about a half second between the two, and it looks like Siebel is right on the tail end of Jeffrey Fournier, and he will have a run on the DRS. I don't think he's quite close enough this lap, but I think he's maybe able to keep it close enough for the next lap, or possibly for another move. He's definitely too far now. However, again, Jeffrey is quite slow, so to give you an idea, that final sector was the fastest sector of anybody this race from Alex. However, Jeffrey was quite fast in the last sector, and the lap time difference is was half a second last time around. Of course, you will not have that kind of difference now because Siebel is being slowed down by Jeffrey. And he has been slowed down even last lap, I would assume, although his lap was still absolutely magnificent. However, this is going to be very interesting. Jeffrey is going to have to give everything he has to not let Alex catch up enough in the final chicane to be able to capitalize on the DRS. As we have a battle for third place between Dino Paolini and Jason Muscat. Dino Paolini currently overtaking Jason Muscat into the hairpin. Great stuff from Dino. However, he now has to be on the defense from Jason, who definitely had a bit of a better top end. And he will now have to be under quite a bit of a defense if Jason can just keep it right behind. However, it looks like Muscat doesn't quite have the raw pace of Dino, who is very, to be honest, on raw pace is very similar to Alex Siebel. As we have a battle for the lead at this point, again, Siebel right behind Fournier. Possibly attempting a move on the DRS again. I don't know if he's close enough. I think he is, but Fournier goes heavily defensive. Siebel goes to the outside, but he doesn't have the top speed. He doesn't risk it, really. No, he decides better of it. He has seen what can. Well, he hasn't seen what can happen, but he knows what can happen. On the outside of that corner, there could be contact, and you don't want to end up like Jared Battalla. And of course, thinks better of it. So great defending from Jeffrey Fournier. He was very close. He was very close to losing that place. They were side by side, full on, but good stuff. And I think this is going to be a very difficult task to keep it going for another 4 laps. But I think it is possible. And Jeffrey Fournier, who I did say that I think may win this race, is definitely on the ball with his defense. He's not faster in any way than Siebel, but he is definitely not slow enough to be a joke for Alex Siebel to overtake, or just it's not a stationary car like sometimes it nearly seems like when you're on DRS. So good stuff from Jeffrey. He just needs to keep it together through those corners and not let Siebel to be close enough. But Siebel keeping through Spoon as close as he can, and he's gonna attempt a move, I think, into the final chicane. At this rate, we have seen him move on the outside, and yes, he's gonna go for the same move. Can he do it? Can he brake late enough? He can. Can they not touch? And Siebel goes through. Siebel goes through for the lead. Can Jeffrey actually get back on him? Can he have the DRS? And can he overtake? It looks like he can. There is a big battle going for that lead. And what a beautiful battle it is. Jeffrey Fournier goes on the outside and goes on the DRS. Beautiful move. Gets back on Siebel just in the nick of time, because that was the last moment he could do it. Fantastic stuff for the lead. Dear God. This is absolutely tremendous. And honestly, Jeffrey Fournier, I thought he's done just as soon as Alex Siebel overtook him, but he kept cool, kept calm, and kept that car right in behind Siebel. And that DRS comes in so handy. As apparently, Choda nearly spawned in the final chicane, and he did lose a couple places. So Terence Gretsch in 8th and 9th for Menno. Klunt. So Klunt actually not doing too bad at this point, to be honest. Driver. Matt Strand with heavy damage again in pits. Car crawling sideways, basically without any wings. However, he is the final of the runners, and at this point, it doesn't really look like he's going to be scoring points unless there's somebody with very, very bad luck. However, back to the lead. Jeffrey Fournier under heavy attack. I don't think this could be called a battle anymore. I think this is a war, and I don't think Siebel is he gonna try and do it again? He is on the inside into the chicane, and he does it again. But can Fournier do the exact same thing he's done before? I think it looks like he can follow right behind, going on the DRS. I think he's close enough to do another move, pretty much identical to what he did last lap. The only problem is will have to defend like mad. There are 2 laps to go. There is absolutely no place for error. One mistake from either of those drivers, and I think the other one is going to have the win on this one. However, what can happen from Fournier? This is going to be very difficult since he wasn't leading. So Fournier did not lead through across the line, which means that honestly, Fournier will have to defend like absolute mad into the final chicane on the final lap. If he wants to keep that win, it will be very, very interesting to see. I think Fournier will have a hard time to make sure that Siebel is behind him. But now Paolini is coming into the mix. We have a trio-hit battle for the lead and for the win of this race. There are only 2 laps to go, a lap and a half in fact. But at this point, I think Paolini is actually going to be a massive, massive hamper to Alex Siebel, because he is a fast driver, and I think he may use any kind of an opportunity of Siebel making any sort of mistake for Paolini to use DRS and maybe even an overtake, when if Siebel goes for the exact same move he has been going for, possibly without DRS, Dino Paolini could be attempting a move right in and snubbing behind a Fournier. And absolutely, it could be a fascinating finish to the race. We're on the cusp of the final lap. And just going into the final chicane, Alex Siebel going smart, going for that DRS overtake. He's going for different strategy. He has seen that it's not working for the last 2 laps. Siebel going on the DRS, onto the outside lane of T1. I think he's going to do it. I think Siebel has this race win. Can he do it on the outside of turn 1? They go side by side. He does it. There's a bit of contact. And Fournier, and luckily, loses that place to Siebel. Siebel is in front. And now Fournier has to deal with Paolini behind. I think Alex Siebel is now undoubtedly going to win this one and run away. There's only half a lap, well, about 3/4 of a lap left. Paolini has exactly that amount of time to attempt to move into second place. This is a fascinating battle. Fournier still, to be honest, Fournier, Muscat, both doing fantastic job. Muscat right behind this battle as well. And both of them, mind you, started from the back of the grid in the first race. Something absolutely amazing. And to be honest, as I said, Alex Siebel just running away. However, Paolini, what is he going to do? Can he keep up? Can he close down on Jeffrey Fournier? Can he use the DRS? I'm not even sure if he has the DRS. As Erhan Jajowski goes, loses 7th place, unluckily, seemingly losing out to a bad connection. Just so unlucky on the final lap. So losing a bad connection, and unluckily, that's Erhan Jajowski out of this race. He will get a point. However, Dino Paolini possibly making a move for Jeffrey Fournier in the final corner. Can he do it? Can he attempt a move? He can't. Alex Siebel, Jeffrey Fournier, Dino Paolini, all in the final shot. Both Fournier and Paolini going sideways out of the final corner. And Siebel, Fournier, Paolini, Muscat, our top 4 finishing. With Stefan Ruold, I think, going to be coming in 5th place. What a race. Fantastic stuff at the end. God, my voice is gonna go. Roy Schroden comes in 6th place after his troubles early on in the race. I'm not surprised. But on the other hand, that was a good effort from our pole sitter. And we had side-by-side action from Menno Klont and Terence Gretsch. Great stuff as well. 1/10 of a second in between Gretsch in 7th, 8th for Menno Klont, 9th for Jared Batalla, even after the spin. 10th for Sandeep Choda, 11th for Rob Mason, 12th for Antonio Verljanovic, 12th for Mark Fuller, 14th for Morten Wernersen, 15th for Erhan Jajowski, who has the DNF, but he will be classified. And Matt Strand has not finished the race, has the DNF after lap 14. Holy moly! That was something out of this world. That battle I think this was one of the best battles I have seen on the final laps ever. It was beautiful, absolute mental. Wow. Alex Siebel, great drive and good attack at the end. I think he did a right thing of not attacking through the chicane, as he has seen that not work. And however, he did risk it that possibly Fournier is not going to let him go through. And now we also see Paolini so close as well, just both making mistakes at the end. And Muscat, even though he wasn't quite up to the speed, he finished 4th. And my voice, I'm sorry if anybody is sick of me shouting, but holy, that was impossible not to. And apparently, this is the first time ever in Supercup that we have seen a driver take 4 consecutive wins, 2 rounds in a row, 2 double round wins from Alex Siebel. He's just making history and records here in Supercup. Absolutely amazing. Something that not even somebody like Lars Brugman, who has absolutely dominated last season, was able to manage. What an amazing race. And I think Brugman did 4 in a row, but it was a race 2 in one of the races and race 1 in another. So this is the first time we've seen 4 races in a row in terms of 2 exact single rounds. So Alex Siebel could make history as well if he wins another one in round 1 next time around, which undoubtedly he'll be trying. But that was something out of this world. If we can, please, can we get more of these battles by the end, before the end of the season? Because this may be out of this world, but I hope we get even more of them. Wow. I need to actually get a drink because my throat is actually starting to kill me. That was quite something. And I will wait for another couple minutes before we see if there are any interviews. At the moment, we don't have anybody, but I presume drivers are kind of starting to just trying to cool down maybe as much as the commentator is. And to be honest, from seeing what it was, I think they deserve a few minutes as well. And again, if any of the drivers are watching at the moment, please come in for an interview. I will definitely. I would like to see a couple faces, and especially if we're going to get somebody like Alex Siebel, Jeffrey Fournier, which we have seen here before. Even somebody like David Kacper, who has had a bit of a worse race. But you're welcome to come in. You did have a good bit of a. You did play a good part in the beginning of the race, so. And in the first race as well. So anybody is welcome. These races were absolutely amazing, and I think everybody will have a bit of a good story to tell. I have to say as well, I hope you enjoyed the commentary because I felt so much better here than I felt in Singapore. And my God, I think the race didn't disappoint at all. They were even more enjoyable than Singapore. Oh, my voice is going to hate me, but absolutely. Every single second of this was worth it. Of course, if you want to post any questions, you still have the chance of doing so at GPVWC YouTube channel. You're free to ask any questions, and I will happily answer anything. As long as it's, of course, to do with the broadcast or with racing, etc. And luckily, it seems like some of the drivers are quite shy. We're not getting anybody who's willing to do interviews so far. I'll still give them a couple more minutes. However, it was. I think Jeffrey finally may have broken his bad luck, to be honest, this season. He has had a good bit of it throughout quite a few races. And finally getting a podium. Finally getting a weekend that, even though he had back of a grid penalty, worked out to be quite good. So, yeah, very impressive. Other drivers, David Kacper, again, unluckily second race. He was doing quite well. That was... to be honest, that kind of a spin could happen to anybody. It was a basically death trap accident. You couldn't have done much about it as soon as you realized that you were going the wrong way. Whew. Other drivers worth mentioning: Richoten, unluckily just a bad start of the race, just not quite having the pace. And yeah, I think honestly he still did quite all right by the end. Finishing 6th is not bad. Some drivers, again, Borja Milan, quite unlucky. I think if Borja Milan was there, I think he could have played a pivotal role, in fact, in the battle for the lead. And I think if Borja was there, I feel personally, and I don't know possibly how everybody else feels, I think Jeffrey could have won this race. I don't know if our cameraman feels the same way, but it definitely looked at. and yeah, I think Kacper as well. That definitely the two drivers that definitely missed out from retiring early on, and we knew that they had good pace. So I'm not really seeing anybody for interviews. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it right here. And I see some drivers, but they're not waiting for interviews. So I'd like to thank you all for watching us today. Of course, join us tomorrow, where Jake Sanson and Joshua Anderson is going to take you through our premiere series, which is the Super League. And of course, if you wish to see any kind of in-depth analysis, you can get that at simnews.tv. We do have a Supercup show, and of course, join me and Ben Willis as well for the Super League show if you're interested in that next week. So, with that said, I thank all of you for joining in, and thank Mike Pittman for the excellent camera work. And with that said, thank you all for watching, and good night.